137, I think it says, and welcome. And so we'd like to take the roll, please.
Director Robinson? Yep. Director Cardoza? Director White? Here. Director Brown is absent. Director Crane?
Present.
Chair Brown?
Here. Okay, why don't we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, consent items, is approval of minutes from the June 14th, 2018 meeting. Directors? We have a motion for approval. We now have a second. Any other comment? Seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Director Robinson?
I abstain.
Director Cardoza?
Aye.
Director White?
Aye.
Director Crane?
Aye.
Chair Brown?
Aye.
Motion carries with Director Robinson abstaining.
Great. Okay, next we'll move on to staff updates. Ms. Duquette.
Sarah Duquette, Mendocino County. I have two quick things to talk about. On Tuesday, July 10th, the Board of Supervisors approved the contract with Larry Walker and Associates, so that execution is being completed this week, and so we'll be able to start work with the vendor right away. In addition to that, you'll also, the clerk will pass out this paper we have. It's just for your information. We have kind of just a general cost estimate of what we think year 1, year 2, and year 3 will be, and kind of the focus on what the tasks are going to be. So that's just kind of an FYI. We'll have more detail as we progress, but this is kind of what we're thinking for cost for the next 3 years. The second one is we have a draft agreement to work from with DWR, so I'll be working with Aaron to finalize kind of the scope and all of that, and if you'd like, we can bring that back to the board to see before we do a final execution. So we're making progress on the grant agreement, and those are my two quick updates.
Okay, and are these handouts available for the public?
Yes, there are two public copies for the back.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, we'll now have public comments on items not on the agenda. This is a time when the public can get up and speak. If you'd like to do so, please come forward and state your name for the record. Seeing no one, we'll move forward to item number 6. This is an action item, discussion and possible approval of an initial notification letter to the Department of Water Resources for the development of the Ukiah Valley Groundwater Sustainability Plan. Ms. Duquette, do you want to introduce this item, please?
Sarah Duquette, Mendocino County. So part of the process as we move forward with the GSP development and into the grant agreement, we have to formally notify the state that we're going to start the process to create a groundwater sustainability plan. So we need that in place before we start our grant. And we use the Sigma portal, which that's where we kind of declared we were an agency. And so I'm working on that, and part of it's the letter before you. And it describes the agency itself, and that we're a JPA agreement, who's involved with it, what kind of seats we have, where the meetings take place, that we're engaging the public, and that we have a technical advisory committee that will also be engaging with the public. They're open meetings and encouraging people to participate, and notifying the state that we're going to start this GSP process. And so this letter is before you today for approval, and then that will be uploaded with some other information that they need. They also need a person to be listed as the contact for the GSP plan manager. I'm listed currently as the contact on the portal for all of the required uploads and documents that we need to submit. So I will be taking care of that as well. So you'll see I'm also listed as the GSP manager, so that I will be officially uploading on behalf of the agency all of the documents that you approve as we go through the process. So this is that letter, and once this is done, we'll upload it to the portal and fill out the remainder of the stuff that we need to fill out for that. And then we can officially get started on the GSP.
Thank you very much. I did note on the letter, would be in the second paragraph, it says, and I'm not sure if I'm correct or not, but it says Russian River Flood Control and Water Conservation and Improvement District. I think we strike the and. Correct, Tamara? Okay.
A lot of extra in there.
That's a run-on agency name.
I like it. We'll make that change.
Okay. Directors, any other corrections or suggestions, comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to public comment. Anyone that would like to speak, address the letter, please come forward, state your name for the record. Seeing no one, it's back to the board.
Move the recommended action.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. We have a second to the motion. Roll call, please.
Director Robinson,
Aye.
Director Cardoza,
Aye.
Director White,
Aye.
Director Crane,
Aye.
Chair Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item, and that is 6B, and it's discussion and possible action, including appointment of alternate members to the Technical Advisory Committee representing Russian River Flood Control, Upper Russian River Water Agency, and the tribal seat. Sarah, can we have an introduction, please?
Sure. So this is just a continuation of the item from the last meeting to bring it forward to, again, discuss the alternates for flood control, Upper Russian River Water Agency, and the tribal seat. And I'll turn it over to Director Cardoza to talk about where they're at.
I feel silly because I asked to have this put on the agenda for this month, but our meeting was canceled due to the 4th of July holiday, so we have not, the Upper Russian has not met and chosen an alternate.
That's
Sorry.
okay, understandable.
Same thing's true for flood control.
Okay. But we can probably expect one next month?
Yeah, I would say.
We can.
Should the item be continued?
Vice Chair Crane?
Should the item be continued?
Yes, it should be. So it will be continued to our August meeting.
Possibly September, depending on items.
Okay,
That would be my recommendation. Depending on what items we have prepared for August, we may want to consider an August or a September meeting. So,
yeah,
you know,
and
hopefully August.
the reason for this meeting too today was because it's timely to get this letter approved to go in. Okay. Public comment?
Tamara Allen, Russian River Flood Control and Upper Russian River Water Agency. Just to remind the board that, you know, when we started this process, I had another employee that I worked with, Bill, who passed away, and we did have two people who were able to work on the two agencies' behalf. I have reached out to the alternate board members to ask them to be the TAC representative for the two agencies, and then to have me as their alternate. And so then I would be the alternate for both, and I would be attending the TAC meetings, but then we would have a designated representative on the TAC from both of those districts. And I hope to have this at least have tacit approval of the individuals themselves at our at the next GSA meeting in August. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else, please come forward. Seeing no one, back to the Board of Directors. But I will what I forgot to do was to apologize for Sean White not being here today. He is part of our TAC. He's continuing meeting with the Army Corps and still at the lake, so he sends his apologies. So I guess that just about ends our action items, and we're going to, Mr. Kent? Oh.
No.
We're going to move on to item 7, director's reports. Directors, do we have any reports? Oh, come on. We got to drag this out a little bit longer.
Sarah, I have a question.
Sure.
So once the letter is filed with DWR, when does Larry Walker begin work, and what's the primary tasks for this summer or fall?
Larry Walker can begin work technically today, since
Okay.
the board approved the agreement. No, actually, technically yesterday, because the board approved it on Tuesday. The first item that was on there was that kind of community and engagement plan, but also coming back to this board to kind of get direction on some of the big ticket items from the task list. And so once now that we have that agreement complete and we're working on the grant agreement, I would suggest that we have kind of a kickoff meeting with the vendor, so you guys can provide some direction on kind of what are the tasks you want to see kind of prioritized first. One of them was that kind of community outreach plan. So we can set that up for August or September,
Okay.
as well as the first TAC meeting.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none. That's the end of director's reports. Al, grab the gavel. Bang, we're adjourned. And thank you, everybody. Sorry it was so quick.